Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Speak Up Erika podcast. And today, my guest is Jen. Yay!
Yay!
Hi, Jen.
Hey, Erika. Hey, everyone. Um,
How are
I'm
you
super
doing?
excited and honored to be here. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. Oh, thank you. Um, Before we get started, Jen, is it okay if you share a little bit about who you are and about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name's Jennifer. I am a Toronto native, and currently I'm working full time at a Big Five bank in Canada, working my way up in the corporate ladder, I guess I can say, and I'm enjoying my time so far. And on the side, I like to do different types of things. I like to be outdoors. I'm the type of person that likes to explore. So whether that be restaurants or events in the city, different festivals. Definitely with COVID happening right now, it's a little bit more difficult. But I definitely do love to explore and travel, meet new people, and just really continue to self improve and just enjoy doing the hobbies that keep me creative and balanced in life, I guess. So that's a little bit about who I am.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, Jen and I, we met through university. We both
Yeah.
went to University of Toronto, and I think, did you take CCIT as well, or?
Yeah, so we were in like the similar department, but I did
Right.
my specialist in the digital enterprise management.
Oh, okay. Oh no, so we were both in the same, just different year, because I did
Yeah.
DEM as well.
Oh, did you? Oh,
Yeah,
okay, okay. Oh
I
my
didn't
gosh.
realize. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
Yes. So
Awesome.
we're both from I would say business communications program. That's like the
Yeah.
best way to put it.
I know it's like one of those programs where it's like the jack of all trades, master of none one, but yeah,
Right.
there's so much exposure to it. Yeah.
I know. So thank you so much for introducing yourself. I think we'll get into our topic for today. So we wanted to talk more about overworking and how social media and overworking also go hand in hand, and then also talk a little bit about your involvement with the Vietnamese culture and the community.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
sounds like a plan. I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for having me on the podcast.
Oh, thanks, Jen. So yeah, I think we can start with social media. Um, with so I feel like both of us are really involved in our presence on social media, and I see that you collaborate with a lot of different accounts on your personal feed as well. Could you chat more about how it's like balancing work and social media for yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really interesting question. I haven't been asked this before, but I
Hmm.
definitely do think about it a lot because
Hmm.
I think those two variables, working professionally and balancing that with social media personally, is two worlds that definitely do collide and do take up some time, and they both require, I could say, equal amount of work sometimes.
Yeah.
Um, for me, to your first question, I think for the working with different brands or collaborating with different businesses, through Instagram specifically, that's the platform that I choose for social media.
Hmm.
It's something that just kind of happened like by fluke, I would say. I work in a very
Mm.
different corporate setting. I work in like the legal and compliance realm for
Right.
financial institutions. So I don't really get a chance to be creative or talk to a lot of different stakeholders, especially when it comes to different products. The products I usually collaborate with on Instagram or social media in general, it usually catered towards more for food events or the beauty and cosmetic industry. So it's honestly by fluke that I get approached. I mean, my following is not substantial at all, and I don't really think of it as a professional channel. I see it as very personal, and I think because it kind of just goes in hand with my personality, a very strong willingness to share,
Right.
whether that be sharing things about political stances that I believe in positively, as well, or whether it be something super minor as like this is my favorite thing to drink from Starbucks. It
Hmm.
really depends on what I feel like sharing, but I just have this comfortability to want to share and to be willing to share because to me, I find that potentially helpful for even just one person, or it just gives me an outlet to be creative. So I think along with that, brands maybe can see the, if I can say the word, like influence of word of
Yeah.
mouth, or kind of like the micro way of marketing, I guess. And
Mhm.
a lot of it really just came from networking, not necessarily to receive free products or to collaborate with a brand, but it was networking in a sense of, I have a very big interest in how people sell their products, how businesses are ran. I just have this very like natural attraction to entrepreneurs. And so
Yeah.
I think when I just kind of like reach out and ask, like, oh, like, how did you get started in this industry, what do you like about it,
Mhm.
they kind of see like a genuineness, and like, oh, this person actually wants to know more about my business. Well, why don't you try some of our products, or come experience our service and let us know what you think, because your feedback could be valued. And so
Oh,
I think,
wow.
yeah, I think it kind of just starts like that. Like, there's no intention of promotional products or paid advertisements or something like that. It was just more of a curiosity. And I guess with some things that I've done in my philanthropic community, it's kind of led me to meet different like different business owners, and like people who work in marketing industries and stuff. And yeah, it's I hope I answered the question, but the balance is definitely sometimes very difficult.
Mhm.
um because I don't know, like for me, I overthink sometimes if I'm sharing too much, or will this
Right.
possibly get me in trouble at work. But of course, I try to keep everything minimal, in the sense that it's harmless things that I'm sharing, and it's more um, it's more catered towards like food and beauty. So
Right,
it's not
yeah.
nothing too controversial or anything like that. But
Mhm.
it's definitely a difficult balance when everything is very technology based,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's hard to stay away from the screen sometimes. But it's really important to disconnect too. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I think, it's cool that you you kind of say that, "Oh, I don't, like, have that big of a following or anything," but I remember I was listening or watching something, and they said that brands really value micro-influencers more than sometimes larger accounts.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
I can
like,
see that, Phoebe. Yeah.
they value it because they're able to connect with their audience on, like, a more deeper level, I guess, and, like, really
Oh,
connect
wow.
with people. Yeah, so I think it's cool that you said that, because there isn't, like, that other perspective that it's actually I guess, more beneficial to be, like, considered as a micro influencer with people who have, like, smaller followings. Yeah.
That's actually interesting. I talked
Mhm,
to a friend of mine who owns a pizza shop, a small pizza shop, and they kind of told me something similar too. And
mhm.
I was really surprised by that. But I think, to your point about social media and posting, and how I get approached, I think you're
Mhm.
right. It is really about this intimate kind of like non cookie cutter standard of
Yes.
engagement. Like, it's because I can see it too, like over time, that just based off of analytics on social media,
Mhm.
uh, companies or brands, when they request those type of analytics, they really do look at the number of engagements or interactions that if I can say, blogger or a figure would have, versus like the number of likes. It really
Exactly,
it's
yeah.
deeper than that. Yeah, I
Mhm.
realize that that's kind of what they look at more. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's interesting.
Jen, can I ask you what are ways that you help limit your time on social media and try to get like a breather?
I love that question. And I love
Yeah.
that the question's coming from you, because you're like the inspo for
Oh.
like self-reflection and Zen. And, I know that you definitely take breaks from social media once in a while. And I think that's a really
Mhm.
great cleanse. I wish I could do that more often.
Mhm.
And I think that's definitely something that I'm working on right now, and trying. But in terms of some tips or advice I would give on how to just take a break from it is, well, I grew up in Hamilton, technically. I was born and raised there. And so
Oh.
uh, Yeah, so my childhood has been a lot has been sorry very exposed to nature, and I would go on hikes all the time. I would go chase the waterfalls as a kid, and then I guess just slowly growing up and just growing older with the technological advancements, like
Mhm.
all of this has been very great, but there's also some cons with it. And so when I ever feel like I'm overwhelmed or there's just so much information overload, especially when it was during the time of the quarantine. I
Yeah.
saw myself going outside a lot more, safely, of course. But I really think it's important to have scheduled breaks. I guess I'm unique in a sense where I like to really schedule my time, and so unfortunately, I'm pretty dependent on Google Calendar. So I would, put in like 15 to 30-minute breaks where it would remind me, like, don't go on your phone during this time and
Mhm.
just go for a walk. I'm lucky in a sense that I live in an area that's quite safe, so I can go outside without a device and not feel like I'm going to get abducted or something, because I
Mhm.
know a lot of people do rely on their phone for emergency situations, and it's hard to disconnect, or you feel naked without it and stuff like that. But for me,
Mhm.
I'm comfortable with like going without a cell phone outside and walking around and that sort of thing. But I think also what helps me is just finding some, if I can say, creative therapy in
Yeah.
other things that are offline. So like watercoloring in my spare time, or I have recently started getting into bullet journaling, which makes me sound like ultimate basic, but I'm late on the game. Like it's so much more fun than I thought. And I'm by no means like a very like artsy person, but
Mhm.
it just gives me something to do, like that's not on my phone. And especially if I feel like there's pressure for me to post things at a certain time or by a certain date, that's kind of when I feel like, oh, okay, like I need to take a step back and just do something else. And um, I think that another tip I would have for myself is also just honestly, just not sleeping near my phone.
Oh,
Um,
wow, yeah.
yeah, like waking up in the morning, usually within the first 15, 20 minutes of waking up, I try not to touch my phone other than to get up and turn off my alarm clock.
Mhm.
But even before bed, I think for me at least, it's been really efficient and more at peace for me to not like be scrolling through LinkedIn or watching YouTube videos or going on Instagram and stuff like an hour before bed, because it would just constantly remind me of things that I want to look up, or because of the abundant amount of information on there, I'd be like curious into reading things or watching things, and it opens a rabbit hole, and it affects my sleep schedule too for quite a number of years. So I think like by kind of knowing like when to separate time from my phone for rest is a really key factor for me, because my mind's just always constantly running for some reason. But I hope I'm not the only one that's like that. But I
Oh,
think those are
yeah.
some tips. Yeah, like disconnect, set scheduled reminders to take breaks, go outside without your phone once in a while, find offline hobbies, and yeah, don't use your phone before bed. That's probably
Yeah.
what I would suggest.
Oh,
Yeah,
awesome.
tough
Thank
though.
you so much, Jen. I
No
feel
worries.
like the bullet journaling, I could definitely relate to, like, all the things that you've touched, points about,
Oh, I'm
but, like,
glad.
the bullet journaling, it's funny because that's such a big community that does it, and it's crazy how in depth they go into all, like, like,
Girl, I
the
tell you,
layouts.
I'm on Amazon, like buying buying markers for I don't know what reason when I have like 80 already. I'm like, oh, true, and the themes each month, and I'm like, okay, does this? Oh my gosh, yeah. But if you ever want to like consume time and try to be productive, I think that's a really fun thing to do. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, when you also talked about going to bed, like trying to be away from your phone in the morning and in the evening, I feel like for me, I always try to do that, and I have trouble doing it because I end up like always talking to my boyfriend before bed, or
Oh, true,
yeah, so
true.
it's like I always end up being on the phone and then falling asleep on the phone or something
Oh, that's
like
cute. See, I can't relate to
that.
that because I'm single as a Pringle. So who knows? Maybe one day I'll be also on my phone late at night. But for now, yeah, it's easier to shut that off.
Um, Jen, could I ask, when you were in school, how is that? Like, did you ever feel like you were overworking yourself doing, I know you were in extracurricular activities as well. And, like, did you work and do school and do extracurriculars all at the same time?
I'm glad that you actually brought this up. I
Yeah.
recently visited our old school, and it's so nice now and modernized and everything. It brought back
Right.
a lot of memories. And to be honest, it did bring back a feeling of not only like excitement and like gratitude that I felt, but it also brought back a lot of memories of, damn, that was a really rough period of my life because
Right, yeah.
yeah, like, it's just like, I know I'm not the only one where school is just so much pressure, so much work on yourself, but I
Mhm.
think, for me, during those times, I definitely did feel, overworked, and but that's also where I found that um I knew I needed to balance myself better, and that's when I started to, join the club. So even though it added more pressure, it actually helped relieve some of the schoolwork for me. And to answer your question, I did work multiple part-time jobs during university. I actually have, to be honest, I've been working since I was 14 years old, like consistently all the way till now, like
Yeah.
so many different retail jobs. But during uni, what I did to try to help balance my schedule, and especially living away from home, I lived in dorms as well as renting off campus, is I found jobs on campus too. So in my last year of school, I worked at the U of T Career Center as a
Yes.
marketing events assistant. So
Mm.
like that was like kind of like, okay, I'm working and trying to make some money, but it's also on campus and convenient for where my extracurricular board meetings could be, where my lectures could be. So I really did try to map out the distance and the capacity of what each type of quote unquote work I would need to do. And like, it, by no means am I saying that I mastered it or I executed everything perfectly, but
Mhm.
to me, when it felt so difficult, it really it really took a toll on like my sleep schedule,
Mhm.
my commitment to social activities, and that sort of thing. But it also really taught me a lot, and I'm glad that I went through it. And that's also the time that I started journaling more. I started going to the gym more. It made me feel like, okay, everyone's got the same amount of time in a day, and I can sit here and wallow in, burnt outness and stuff like that, or I can find ways on how I can exert uh, these worries I have, or this really tired state, and just to reflect and be like, okay, what's going to help calm me down, or what's going to bring me joy where I don't really have to try so hard. And so that's
Nice.
kind of where the physical exercise and just calling friends and that sort of thing, and journaling really came into play during those times of study, because you're right, it was a lot to do at once, especially when
Yes.
you're pretty young. Like, I don't know, I look back and I'm like, wow, how do we all get through like
Right.
school, and like, oh my gosh, adulting is like a whole nother thing. Like,
Right, I
yeah.
know.
Hmm.
Yeah, it feels like like, reflecting back on it, it feels so crazy because 'cause you're like, "Oh, how did I even do all those things that I did?" Because I feel like when quarantine started and everything kinda just shut off, well, like, for me, it kinda shut off, and then I
Yeah,
started
same.
panicking because I was like, "Oh my gosh, like, what do I do now?" But then I
Yeah,
learned how to, "Oh, I guess we don't really have to do that much to" I don't know, to feel like
you're so right. Yeah.
yeah, like the difference, you can really, feel the contrast in doing
Yeah,
so much and doing
absolutely.
nothing at all from
I
from
know, and
the quarantine.
that's so true. And you actually reminded me of a meme my friend sent me. It was like
Yeah.
something along the lines of, "I used to go out 5 days a week." That's
Right.
so excessive, and I laughed
Right.
so hard because I'm like, "Wow, that's true." But
Mhm.
yeah, I'm really it's tricky for those that are in school right now, or they had to graduate during like
Oh my
quarantine, and
gosh, yes.
right, like I can't imagine the extra stress of just taking exams online, and that, like, anxiety triggering type of
Oh
moments where it's
gosh.
like, did I
Mhm.
submit this on time? Like, and you overwork yourself more when you're at home. At least that's how I feel, because it's like
Mhm.
your laptop's in front of you.
Or you were telling me that it's been kind of difficult working for home from home for you. Um, could you chat a little bit more about that if you feel comfortable?
Yeah, absolutely. I know working from home varies for everyone, and everyone's situation is different. But
Mhm.
for me personally, like working from home, it's been about almost 6 months of continuous work from home.
Yeah, that's
And
amazing.
yeah, like in the beginning, I was like, okay, this is fun. I can work my PJs. I can, eat breakfast fully and not worry about commute and taking the TTC subway and having to look a certain way and be presentable in meetings and stuff. But I mean, gradually I realized, wow, the power of seeing people in person and especially close colleagues and different departments and stuff, it actually makes a really big difference when it comes to projects or like conflict resolution.
Wow.
Just because, yeah, like I felt like in person, it's just a lot more easier to explain things or to be guided or trained on things. And I work in a traditional bank, and even though we're one of the leading banks in the digital space, it's still difficult for different generations of people and different lines of work to adjust to a more virtual setting. So it definitely did take some adjustments. And for me, at least, like I think even with our program, I kind of coin it as like the millennial business tech program because it just seems so like, really new, and we can adapt to it. And we're from a different generation as well. So,
Mhm.
um, it's okay, but for me it was kind of nice in the beginning, and then there were some days where I felt like, oh man, I really miss the office, or I wish I could just sit next to my coworker and watch how they did it, and so I
Wow.
can learn faster. Like there are some times where I felt that, but overall, working from home has been a generally positive experience. I'm really thankful that my company really values health and well-being. So we
Mhm.
did like get extra credits and stuff like that to beef up or strengthen our office setup. So I got like a better chair. I got like another monitor, and
Oh,
so
wow.
they've been very accommodating. But even then, there are times where I still just really miss the hustle and bustle of just going to work and seeing friends and
Mhm.
just being in like the downtown financial district area. It gives me a really big sense of like joy, and just kind of like I feel like I used to um, just feel like a lot more like productive. Like
Mhm.
at home has been productive as well, but to your point about how do you feel working from home and is it overwork? I definitely feel like I work a lot more hours at home because I kind of feel like maybe the expectation on myself is like, well, I'm technically saving about 2 hours every day from not commuting, so I guess those 2 hours I can use it to work more.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to shut it off. And on my office desk, like my personal computer is here as well as like my workstation, as well as my makeup vanity. So it's like everything is kind of all commingled together. And
Mhm.
I definitely don't work from home like in my bed or on a couch. That's just my
Mhm.
opinion because I just felt like when I do that, it makes me feel like I'm not working as much, or it makes me feel like, oh, okay, I can like watch Netflix or something or take a nap instead. But
Yeah.
I definitely have it more segregated now than where I should be relaxing, which is like in bed and on the couch is where I should not really be working.
Mhm.
And I don't know if it's like a psychological thing, but I just kind of feel like I want to keep my workspace in the corner office area of my room, and then just kind of have it at that because I don't have like a separate room for my office. It's in the same room as my bedroom. So,
Yeah.
yeah, work from home has been definitely a lot of self learning and kind of like when to turn off that switch. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome that your work was able to, like, help you, like, I guess, feel more comfortable in your at-home office now. And
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and that you also found a way to, like, separate kind of relaxing versus from working, like, your stations.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it definitely takes a lot of fiddling around, and
Mhm.
yeah, I know everyone's situation is different.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really grateful to finally, after however many months, figure it out. Because I was I was working from home in my PJs on my bed for quite some time.
Yeah, yeah, it's hard not to, like, want to do that because you can, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so funny. Um, do you think that we'll be working from home for a while, like, for a couple of years? So I've heard a lot of people talk about how long it will last because of everything that's going on, and, yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I actually talked to my team about that pretty recent because we got an email that stated that we likely will be working from home indefinitely until the beginning of 2021 at least.
Wow,
And to
yeah.
me, it's kind of like, wow, like it just seems so far away, but then like also not because it's already almost September. So it's like,
Right.
even with everything going on in the world and the uncertainty of the vaccine, the testing, and the spread of the pandemic, it's definitely a really uneasy and uncontrollable thing almost like it's just like this like eerie cloud that you can't really get away from, especially with everything happening in the news
Mhm.
and stuff like that too. But yeah, my workplace did say that we would be working from home until at least January 2021, and I think it's a good idea at least for like my team and my department because we're not really a big team, and how our office was set up is like it's kind of more like they consider it like an ecosystem or like
Mhm.
hotel stations. So we never really had our own permanent desk anyways. It was just kind of like first come first serve um, in an open office. So I think for us, it makes sense for us to work from home. And a lot of us were commuters, so we didn't live in the city. So
Mhm.
it just makes more sense. But definitely, I don't know how everything's going to phase out. And um, I don't have any clear predictions, but I'm just staying optimistic, and I'm glad that the government is like taking pretty good precautions. I'd say in Canada at least
Yeah.
to um, to really try to bring down some of these numbers. Yeah.
I know, I agree.
Mhm.
Yeah. I also think, like, for people that I've been talking to that have been working from home, uh, they were like, "Wow, it's crazy because some of the things that we did pre-COVID, we could have done working from home in the first place."
Oh,
If
that's
that
a
makes
good
sense,
point.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
wait, we could be this productive working from home and not waste time,
Yeah.
looking for meeting rooms or, stuck in traffic and stuff. Yes,
Mhm.
yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah.
Do you find that, since you can't see your coworkers in person, that you've been doing, like, more phone calls or more, like, screen sharing and using that type of technology to, like, help out with, the lack of, like, physical, uh
Yeah,
yeah, physical
that
things?
that's such a good question because I even look at the beginning of the work from home phase till now, and
Mhm,
since then the company and the department has shifted gears completely. I think they even like upgraded their server or like bandwidth and everything like that. The
right.
connectivity is a lot more smoother, but there definitely is an increase in the number of share screen demonstrations. Transition from whether it be Skype for Business Link to Microsoft Teams for more opportunities to, let's say, play games, have group video calls, or just
Mhm,
even have touch bases that are not totally work related, just to see how everyone's doing. I think that for my team, at least, we definitely have been utilizing the tools for online sharing, video calls, conferences, and like just being more on top of what we're all doing and making sure that there's this strong communication,
mhm,
whether that be like even just 15-minute team huddles
yeah,
daily. That's something we didn't have before, but with it, it's kind of like, okay, we know who's on track and what's going on still. And,
mhm,
there are different types of planners and stuff in place. And it is still summer as well. So people do go and take staycations, time off
yeah,
work to spend it with their loved ones. So we still need this sense of communication. But I think personally, I really love the online tools that we have, and I think that this is the way to go because there are some people who and I used to strongly be like this. I feel really uncomfortable in person meetings and doing demonstrations or like um different things where it required like a big audience, and
mhm,
like by doing it online now and to share a presentation or do a walkthrough demonstration through potentially stakeholders that are from different work streams or even global, and to do
mhm,
it online like this now, I think it's fantastic because for people who are not comfortable with in person or, you know, there may be a physical constraint or something, this is the perfect time for them to shine and really showcase and present themselves
Yeah.
virtually comfortably. Like I think it's great. Like people who are a lot more shy in person, I feel like they're actually a lot more vocal during these online calls and
Yeah.
conferences. I'm like, yes, speak your mind. Like perfect. Like this is awesome because it's kind of intimidating sometimes in in-person meetings if their VP is present or a director or senior management. It's like, can you really talk about, like, not everyone feels comfortable talking about issues and constraints that they face. But if it's digital or sorry, virtual, it's kind of like, well, I don't really see a reaction, so I'm fine.
Yeah.
I can say it, or you can kind of be like, oh, I can't hear you, the connection's kind of broken, like, there's some things you can yeah, like
Yeah.
fiddle around with when you're online, but versus
Yeah.
in person, it's like, well, I just bombed that presentation. But
Yeah.
yeah, I've definitely used the, oh, my Skype's cutting out, like a few times when it got awkward. Yeah,
Wow, that's
but I like it.
crazy. Yeah, I love how you
I
brought
know.
that up because me and my partner at work, she's very vocal in person and I and not as digital like tech savvy. But for me, I'm kind of the opposite. I'm more of like a listener and like I'll speak up, but not if like I don't have to. And then I'm more tech savvy than she is. So when it's funny because when we had like online meetings, I felt actually very comfortable speaking online as
Yeah.
you said, but then for her, she didn't feel comfortable at all going to like an online networking event and I was like,
Oh,
"Oh, that's
yeah.
crazy." Like she just feels more comfortable being in person and
Mhm.
talking that way, so it's really funny that you brought that up.
Ah,
So Jen, one of my last questions, I did wanna ask about your account Genuine Taste. Can you, talk more about that?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I'd be glad to talk about that. So, Genuine Taste is an Instagram handle, and slowly it's become kind of part of one of the enjoyable things that my sister and I get to do together. It's a page that we started together, just documenting different restaurants that we visited, or just like different places that we've been to, and we can look back on. And I think what really inspired us to create that page is we really wanted to do a blog for a long time. Both of us are really into like that type of platform. And so we just bought a domain off of WordPress and called it genuinetaste.com, wrote some articles about different things in Hamilton or Toronto mainly that were more food related. And from that, we just started doing like documented stories essentially. And we were reached out by a Vietnamese Canadian newspaper company called Thời Báo Media. It's pretty big
Wow.
in the community, and they do lots of different things. Like it's a newspaper, so there's politics, there's food, there's fashion, there's health and wellness, and they reached out to us about maybe I want to say about 6 or 7 months in of us just consistently sharing posts and different types of things to our feed that are more food related. That's kind of what inspired the name Genuine Taste. We tried to combine both of our names, Jen and Tash, in the JT.
Oh,
They reached out to us specifically to do a segment on food, specifically food in Toronto, because this newspaper company was based in Toronto, but they do sell their publications across Canada. So we have some presence in like Vancouver and Edmonton as well, mainly, which is where where like the Vietnamese population is a little bit more dense. So we wrote the articles. My sister and I, growing up in Hamilton, there wasn't a lot of Vietnamese or even Asian people around us much, so we didn't really know like how to approach this, and it was kind of formal in the sense where there was a contract and everything. We're like, what are we getting ourselves into? What are the asks of this? And so since it's like a small publication company, we asked them what are the requirements, and they actually really wanted to move in a digital space with their news sharing, and specifically they wanted to create a website for digital copies of their newspaper online. And they said, given some of your, I guess, separate interests and passions, would you be interested in showcasing food in Toronto, writing about it in English, and potentially making a 2 or 3 minute video about your time? And we said, wow, this is actually pretty interesting. Like it's a fresh approach to what they wanted to do, and even though it is something that seems kind of like random for us, it was like, well, this actually might help us with our page, and this actually could just be another platform or tool really where we can better enhance like our photography skills, our writing skills, communications to like stakeholders, partners. Like we kind of saw it as like, okay, this is an opportunity. Why would we not take it? And why would we not try to give back to the community that our parents raised us on? Like that was the kind of mindset we had, and we're like, okay, this is still like an Instagram account that's just for fun between two sisters, just taking photos of food essentially, and going to different restaurants and stuff. And we're like, we're not doing anything that's different from that. So this is still kind of quote unquote on brand, or what we're trying to build. And so we went with it, and yeah, we've been in a contract with this newspaper company for almost a year and a half now, and it's been a
Wow.
really great experience. Yeah, we learned so much, and I honestly, I see the page kind of more as a brand, if I can say that, in a sense where we want everything to be cohesive with each other. Like if it's something, if we get approached sometimes from small businesses with like different opportunities, and if it's not really in line with like food or lifestyle, then we wouldn't really go for it. Like some products could be like kind of more health related, but it has no relevance to us. So
Mhm.
we wouldn't accept a free product if it doesn't align with genuine and taste. Like it's
Yeah.
we really try to keep it with the food, but we're not squared into that niche specifically. We kind of just see ourselves more as I guess like just local supporters for different things that we also agree with, but it kind of leans on like the food or the production of food, or some sort of like media news outlet, if I can say. That like we're really trying to stick with that. Um, well, just being honest with our reviews and stuff like that. But
Wow.
yeah, it's a lot of fun, and we don't take it too seriously. Like we don't get caught up on like, okay, how many likes did this get, or will people like this? It's kind of more like, okay, do we like this? Is this kind of on brand with what we're doing? And is this buzzing right now? Like we're always trying to find the hype. It's so bad. Like Blog CEO is my enemy and also my best friend at the same time. Because I'm like, damn, they found this before we did.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we're always like, oh, we want to like get on the hype. But I think the main thing with that genuine taste page is that because not a lot of our personal friends, um, like our personal friends and family do follow us, but our biggest audience for that page is mainly people that are also in the food industry. So other food bloggers, in mainly in like the U.S. or Canada, that we follow and follow us back, because it's a whole community of like, wow, I can't wait till we get to travel again. I would love to visit there. So it's really, really opened our eyes and our network to people who are in similar things on Instagram. And
Mhm.
I really see it as something separate than like my personal life sometimes. 'Cause it's like, it's like, oh, like we're chatting with people that we've never met before, but
Yeah.
we all share the same thing common. So it's a really, really fun community. I'm really, really happy about it.
Wow, that's awesome. I think that's really cool that you don't even really care about like the likes and the followers and stuff like that, and you actually uh, are more catered to what you and your sister like and
I
how
think
you
that's
would
key
reflect
though.
on
Like,
that. For sure,
yeah, I think
yeah.
that's key. I don't really consider myself like a strong content creator, but just
Mhm.
some of my friends who really did establish like their brand, or their quote unquote influencer game. Like there are some people that I've talked to, and some friends as well, and I think it all really just starts with like a genuine passion. Like
Yeah.
I think even with everything that you're working on in your personal life, and like your hobbies, like even with local fest, like I'm so astonished and admirable of that. And I think it all like
Thank
these
you.
type of projects just start from like a genuine like interest. Like because you have this curiosity, putting time into it, it doesn't seem like it's time that's like, oh, am I wasting my time doing this? Or, I'm losing sleep over this. Is this worth it? I think if you like it and you're like honestly like interested and passionate about it, it's worth it, and that's going to speak volumes, and I think get things across. And slowly over time, if you continue that passion, I think that's where, if I can say, success is defined differently by everyone, but I think that's where you really see success, or actionable things that come out of these passions, these little like sparks of joy. It's like crazy, because like a lot of people that I've talked to, they're like, yeah, I didn't take this seriously, but once I just kind of like kept doing it and I kept enjoying it, somehow it started growing on its own, and you put more work into it. You're curious and sharpening your skills to better improve it, because you're like, I want this to keep growing because it genuinely makes me happy. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I
crazy.
agree. Oh man,
Yeah.
that's so awesome. Thank you so much for
Aw.
sharing.
Oh no, I'm super thankful, and I'm glad that you created this space where I feel comfortable to share, and I really enjoy the topics that you have on each of your podcasts, and I know you're only gonna grow this, and however long you decide to do it till, I'll be there to support for sure.
Oh, thank you so much, Jen. I'm here to support you as well. Like, it's funny
Aw.
that you say that you were nervous to talk on the podcast and that you don't see yourself as a content creator and this and that. But to me, my lens and like my perspective on you the complete opposite. Like, I see you as such a confident person, and like
Oh,
very
that's so
creative
sweet.
and everything. So it's like it's crazy how your perspective on yourself is completely different
I
how I
know.
see
It's
it.
my therapist knows it's my biggest battle. Like, just
Yeah.
I think we ourselves are all our own worst critic, but
Yeah.
I think it's just being around friends like you who are really truly supportive and kind of are vocal about these affirmations, and it slowly I'm starting to accept it more. But I know a lot of things. I'm in denial of, but I think slowly getting better with age. But I
Yeah.
really, really appreciate you saying that, and your confidence, and your like your modesty is always something I admire, and like it keeps pushing me for sure. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, yeah.
Oh, thanks, Jen. Before we end off our episode, are there ways that our listeners can help follow and support you? And what, like, I guess, would you like to share your personal page?
Oh yeah, sure. Like, that'd be awesome. I'm always open-minded to meeting new people, and especially if you're Erica's listener or friends, like I would love to connect with you, because I'm pretty sure you're a very awesome person. But you can check me out. You can check me out on my personal Instagram. It's at Jennifer Dow, two N's, one F for the Jennifer, and then DAO. That's my personal Instagram, where I post more lifestyle. And when it comes to more food curated content, or restaurants in the city and that sort of exploration, it's a genuine taste, at genuine taste. So it's at JENUINETASTE. And we also have a website with that as well, www.genuinetaste.com. And there's also like a contact email page as well. So I'm always down to meet new people. And I'm, again, just really thankful to be on this podcast. And I look forward to hearing more episodes from Speak Up.
Thank you, Jen. Yay! Awesome.
Yay! Thank you. Bye, everyone. Take care. Stay safe.